Good evening, friends. My name is Matt from theshavingcadre.com. This is part 2 of a honing video where I am honing up a Simmons Hardware Special number 8. And this is a really cool razor. If you have not caught part 1, the bevel set, I suggest you go over and check that video out. This video, I'm going to be honing this razor, finish honing this razor on a black Arkansas, a surgical black, as some might say, from Dan's Whetstone Company. And then I'm going to be doing a progression with a few Tomo nagura, nagura, and a Tomo nagura. And I'll do a heavier slurry on the nagura and then a trace slurry as well. I'll go ahead and start with the Botan, and then we'll do a Mejiro, and then the Nakayama Tomo. So I'll go ahead and start with a heavier slurry off of the Botan. And this is a video more than anything for my own education of my honing journey with Jnats. My friend Mike sent me these stones last week, and I've been playing with them pretty much ever since, and they are very interesting, and I've been surprised at the edges I have been able to produce, even being a novice with these. I'm not a novice when it comes to honing. I've honed likely close to several hundred razors by now. At the very least 100, 150 probably, maybe more. And most of that experience has been done with a, whether it be an Escher, Thuringen, Conical, synthetics, Jasper. I've really been very into using my Jasper hones as of late. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and tilt the camera down. You can see there's a pretty good slurry going there. And I may do a second slurry depending on how the edge is feeling to me. Ooh, looks like I might have a little hair there. There we go. I'm going to give it another little spritz. I want to make sure this is pretty wet. All right. And with these Jnats, these nagura, you can really feel the grit to start with. It's not crazy, but you can definitely feel it. And what we're watching for is the slurry to start coming up onto the blade as the blade is undercutting the slurry and coming closer and closer to the very micron level of the hone. And those abrasive particles are currently breaking down and sharpening the edge. Now the interesting thing is with this black Arkansas is that it likes to, in my experience with it, with a Jnat, it likes to start grabbing a hold of the edge when we start using up the slurry. So as the slurry breaks down, you're going to see the blade start doing a lot of chatter and sticking. Now I am using a little bit of pressure right here, maybe a hair more than the blade, but this slurry is a 3 to 5K slurry, and that's okay at this point. And I say it's a 3 to 5K, but from everything I hear about Jnats is you can't really be certain what the grit level is on any of these stones. I'm really starting to feel this lighten up. The blade is starting to undercut the slurry pretty much all the way. And it's wanting to work up right up to the belly on the double concave. Now this razor is somewhere around 120 years old. It was made probably either at the turn of the century, or I guess it could be somewhere around another 10 years old. I guarantee this thing's at least 100. I'd have to go back and look at the patent number on this because this does have a patent on it. There was a trademark on the special number 8 in the United States for it. I know I could find it if I wanted to find it. And I would say this slurry is just about done already. I'm considering doing one more pass. Of course, I left my my loop over on the counter, but I want to take a glance at the edge just so that I know where we should be. I want to see the scratches from the 5K disappearing and being replaced by a hazy, crisp edge. Doing a slight amount of rolling just to make sure I get the toe, because it does have a very slight smile at the toe. But we are really close. You can see the slurry's just right up on top of the blade. I guess the angle of my camera could be a little better. Not sure I can get it much closer or higher, unfortunately, unless I put a book under it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to exploring the world of Jnats and adding that to my toolkit. Enjoy all the other stones I have, but the Jnat has just been an enigma for a very long time, mostly due in part to the fact that there's not a ton of people that are using Jnat edges, or Jnats. I mean, there are people out there using them, but my understanding is that you're dealing with a similar issue as you are to cauticles, where you really just have to know somebody has tested the stone before you picked it up. And so I'm going to rinse most of this slurry off, and I'm going to build a new one. But I'm going to check my edge first with my loop. And I left it in the bedroom. I'll be right back. All right, take a quick look at this. I wish I had a microscope where I could show you guys what I'm looking at, but can't have everything. Yeah, super fine, tiny bevel. And I do still see a few little lines here and there. I think we will go ahead and do one more. Yeah, we'll do one more round with the Botan. And again, I really have to express my gratitude to my friend Mike, Michael Phillip from theshavingcadre.com. Met him first here on YouTube, and he came over to the Shaving Cadre and has just been a real great guy, and he's been leading me along, trying to help me figure these things out, and very thankful for his help. So I always want to try and mention that. And again, you know, the wet shaving community, it always seems like, for the most part, the folks are just the very best folks you can meet out there. Very generous with their time, talents, with their treasure, like these stones that Mike sent me. So if you haven't had a chance to, I'd encourage you to check out the Shaving Cadre. We're a great community. There's a lot more to us than just shaving, but we have a lot of fun with our Sunday call, and which we just had our Sunday quote-unquote old guys call. I'm not old yet. I'm sure to a certain person I'd be considered old. But we went and had the Sunday old guys call today, and I think there was probably 10 or 12 of us on there at one point, and just having a great time visiting and talking about razors and restoration work and everything we've been up to. So it's really fun to get to know some of these guys face to face, and a lot of these guys, I've got their phone numbers. We talk on the phone. A bunch of us talk on the phone every week, and really do get to know each other well. So anyway, if you're looking for a community and you want to get into really developing your craft, come on over to the Shaving Cadre. So, end of infomercial. The slurry is feeling nice under this already. I think we'll go ahead and take this. I'm really lightening up my pressure. There's just the weight of the blade. And the blade's starting to undercut the slurry pretty well already. I think we'll take it, maybe dependent, maybe another 20 laps and see where we're at on the loop. Like I said in my previous video, I don't typically rely on the loop or a microscope to determine if my edges are there. A lot of times it's off of the feel of the blade from the stone, whether it be off of the Jasper or Conical or Black Arkansas. But just for the sake of really getting to understand what each of these stones is doing, I'm trying to make a point to look at the edge after each progression to make sure I understand what it is doing to the steel. I'm looking forward to running Swedish steel against Japanese hones, see what it does. Obviously a lot of Japanese razors are made with Swedish steel, but I'm sure those stones can take care of it no problem. And my blade is starting to get kind of sticky on the hone. It's wanting to give a lot more drag, meaning that the edge is coming much closer to contact with the base stone. And you can see by the undercut of the water, we're really starting to get there. I'll add just a little bit of water to my slurry. Now, if you're watching this video and you see anything I'm doing wrong, I would highly encourage you to kindly go to the comments section and please leave me a comment. I would be happy to hear any positive comments, whether they be good nor bad, but definitely the bad comments, or rather the constructive comments. I really thrive off of those. They make me and everybody that hones better when other people know what we're doing. And they can give us feedback. Because this is one of those hobbies where feedback is very hard to get. And thankfully we have video. So we can share our videos and people can comment on technique. But it's a lot harder if we're doing edge exchanges, which edge exchanges are fun. But edge exchanges in this day and age when postage is high, razors are expensive, and time it takes to ship it there, video feedback's great. Okay. I'm really thinking the blade is undercutting this slurry really well. The blade's slowed down a lot, and it's getting really super grabby on the stone. So I think I'm going to call it with that. But I'm going to check the bevel out and see if we're there. We should be. And if we're not, I'll go back to it. Yeah, super hazy. I'm not seeing any. Yeah. Up and down the blade, fully hazy bevel. I'm not seeing any sign of a scratch anymore from the bevel set. It's just a beautiful hazy edge up and down. Perfect. All right, we're gonna go ahead and spray this off. And I've heard Keith from Tomo Nagura, I know that Keith says that you don't have to per se spray off the entire amount of the slurry, or maybe I'm misquoting him. I think I think he said something along the lines of it's a good idea to, I believe he said it's a good idea to remove it, but you don't have to, because that particulate's just going to continue to break down. But you do see him removing it in every one of his videos, it seems like. So this is a 7 to 8K, I believe, or a 6 to 8K stone. And I've got a really nice milky slurry. Really interesting smell that comes off of this one. Earthy and chalky, stony. I don't know how you would describe that. Some stones like the Escher Thuringen really smells like earth, dirt, to me anyway. All right, so the pressure I'm using is about the pressure of the blade, maybe a little less. And as you can see, we are plowing water all the way along. That bevel is completely in contact with this stone. We're starting to already undercut the water just a little, or the slurry just a little bit. You know, a lot of you guys are saying, Matt, what are you doing? It's Sunday night. Don't you have to work in the morning? Yeah, I do. But really find that honing razors puts me in a great mood. I enjoy doing it. And this Jnat progression kind of gives me just a little bit more of that zen. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm already starting to feel a change in the slurry. It's starting to undercut a lot. And the stone is already starting to let the blade skate. It's even starting to feel like it's slowing down a bit already. So when I feel like it's given up the ghost, I'll go ahead and check the bevel again real quick. And depending on how I feel, we may just go ahead and move on to the Tomo. Really beautifully coming together, it seems. Toe is there, the heel is there, the middle of the blade is really coming along quick. Whew. That little bit of half strokes really took it up another notch. I'll do a few circles, why not? Not gonna hurt anything. Yeah, that slurry is now like ice. Feels like it's just sliding across ice. Getting just a little bit of resistance from the stone all the way across the blade edge now. There it is. Starting to get some blade chatter too. So the slurry is just about giving up its ghost on this. Thinking maybe 8 more strokes, lightening up my pressure. Making sure my slurry's still wet enough. It's still dripping off the blade, but I'm going to give it just a spritz. Now this blade came to me pretty clean. It just needed a good buffing. I didn't even unpin it because it doesn't have but just a tiny, tiny amount of the red stuff, rust, in between the pivot. And so I just figure leaving it au natural except for a nice buff is just fine with me. I'd say that's enough. I mean, you can't feel anything anymore on that, other than it's starting to pull pretty hard. And until you use a stone that's very hard, like like a hard Arkansas or a Jasper, or even a Cauticles, some Cauticles, you won't really understand that, what I'm trying to say, that the blade likes to stop or chatter. A lot of times it's if you're using water only. Wow. Very smooth, pretty edge, very hazy. I mean, it's become more hazy, but I think I can probably take it a hair further. I'm going to go ahead and do one more small progression here. Lighter pressure, I think. I think I've mentioned before in one of my other videos, I love this Mejiro. I hope all the other subsequent Mejiros are like this. They really want to give up their slurry quickly. I'm not waiting around and rubbing real hard trying to get it to produce the mud. It just wants to really come together quick, and I like that. The rocking sound you hear behind me, of course, is an old 1950s table, but my son, he was making some pet rocks today. So he's got a whole rock collection sitting here on our table. I didn't think about removing it before I started honing this evening. Beautiful soft feel from this. Going real light, guys. Not a whole lot of pressure at all. Throwing a few rolling X strokes in here. Make sure that I focus on that little toe smile. We are undercutting the water really well, or the slurry really well now. That came along real quick. I'm gonna throw some water on this, thin it out. And just like that, the blade has become grabby. It's slowing me down. And now, the slurry's wanting to climb all the way up the face of the blade. I would say this is just about done. It's almost spent. So it's really just climbing all the way up the blade, pretty much. Blade's really slow, sticky. I'll work on the toe just a hair more. Some rolling X strokes. Then it just a hair more, and we're on to the Tomo nagura, I believe. I love seeing that the water just wants to cascade up the blade now and over the backside. Can't say that I've noticed that with any of my other hones, or maybe I haven't paid attention to it. The videos I've been watching on Jnat edges, a lot of people point that out, that that's one of the attributes whenever you really have the slurry broken down and it's there. But as you can see, as I make the stroke towards you, it's just completely covering the blade all the way to the top. I think that's it. Grab myself a fresh paper towel. Take a look at the bevel, and I think we'll be off to the races. It's very fine. I'm certain I could shave off of that. Check the toe on this side, I didn't look at it. Cool. All right. All right, so I'm going to go with a nice medium slurry on the Nakayama Tomo, and then I will finish with a trace slurry. Whew. This rock is hard, and it really requires some patience trying to get it to give it up. All right, I'm gonna say that this is a medium slurry, maybe medium light. I think I might give it just a hair more. There we go. Set these stones aside. And we are just using lighter than the weight of the blade now. Very, 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 very ultra fine grainy feel of this slurry. Just starting to undercut the slurry a little bit. It's starting to slow down on me a bit too. Just a little bit more. If you've made it this far into the video, why don't you drop down into the comments and tell me what you're honing currently, and what stones you have. What stones are you using? Are you using Jnats? Are you using Arkansas? Are you considering using a translucent or a black Arkansas to do what I'm doing with Jnat naguras? Always interested in why people are stopping by. Really starting to slow down big time now. I really do like this stone. It doesn't get as much love as it deserves from me. It's It's almost pure black. It does have some striations down here toward me that are kind of they're black, but they're more of a super dark charcoal gray. Really cool. I've got a few more streaks up here. This thing came very, very, very ultra fine, finely finished from Dan's, and has been a great stone. I mean, it's not the thickest. I know some people are all about the 3-inch wide, 1-inch thick, 8-inch long stones, and you know I've always liked thinner stones for the most part, but there's definitely something to be said about water retention or oil retention on a larger stone. It's much easier to manage that water because I'm just trying not to lose the water and the slurry on every pass. But the 2-inch stones work just fine. Great for mastering the X stroke. And working with problems. And this stone is super slow now. And we're starting to really undercut the water that is left. Thin it just a little bit more. And then I'll check the edge, and then I think I may just go ahead and take us to the tray slurry and finish with like way less than the weight of the blade, just as much as I need to keep it sitting on the hone. Whew. Really sticking. Okay. I'm going to check her out and see where we're at by comparison to the last one. If you're looking for a good quality loop, this Bellamo Triplet 10X pretty much does everything I need. Pretty nice. Super fine. It's looking great. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish this puppy out. I'm gonna give it a little bit more water. I'm not even gonna bother removing that slurry, what's left. And I'll just do a little trace slurry here. I'd say we could call this a trace. It's just starting to cloud the water just a hair. I think that's good enough. maybe that's just a little bit too much. Wow, super slow. Feels like the toe of the razor is really there. And I think we're approaching the middle and heel at the same time right now. And we're just about there, ladies and gentlemen. I just lightened it up a little bit more. And I mean, the blade's sticking all the way up and down the blade, or up the hone. I'm just doing my best to keep it on the stone without it letting it chatter all over the place. Maybe do another 10 laps or so. Just super light passes now. All right, folks, I'd say that's it. I'm gonna call it at that, see how it shaves. And if needed, we'll bring it back to the Tomo Nagura and give it a little bit more work, but I'd say it's there. Very, very grabby up and down the blade, and even as light a pressure as I have, it's really wanting to grab onto the stone. It's great. All right, well, thanks again for joining me, guys. Appreciate you stopping by, and you'll see me shave with this guy pretty soon. So have a great night, and take it easy.